Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it is a narration of a message that I received. And the narration reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, my story, it goes on like this. It all started when I was still back home in the village before I had rejoined with my husband in the city. When me and my husband were dating, after one of my auntie had taken me to the place where my husband's relatives were staying, I then saw that my mother-in-law, she didn't like me at all. She hated me a lot. So then what happened before I had started staying with my husband was that I had suspicions that my own mother, she was a witch. And a lot of people used to say that my mother was a witch, but you know that when you have your parent, and when people say that your parent is a witch, you will never agree to the fact that your parent is a witch. So then one day what happened was that my mother gave me some herbs, and she said that I know that right now you are dating, you have started dating these guys, and what I want to tell you about these boys is that these boys, they are too clever. Once they have started sleeping with you, they will never get married to you. Rather, the boy will move on to another girl. So I said, no, I'm not dating anyone, because I never thought that my mom, she already knew that I was actually dating this guy. My mother then told me that there was a guy that I was dating. She even knew the dates that I had met this guy. My brother, I was even shocked as to how my mother had managed to know that I was actually dating this other guy, because at that time, like when she told me that on this other trip, didn't you go and meet up with this guy? But when I looked at the date, I saw that my mom, she had gone to attend another funeral somewhere. So how had she managed to know that I was actually dating this other guy? Well, my brother, my mother then told me that she wanted to give me some charms that I was supposed to use on my boyfriend, so that my boyfriend will not marry another one. My boyfriend will only get married to me when the time was right. My mom gave me these herbs, but I refused. She then said that, oh, I can see that you are doubting that my charms do not work. She then said that I want you to test these charms. I then said, what am I supposed to do? My mom then said, I want you to call out his name, tell him to come here right now. My brother, like magic, my boyfriend came, and when my boyfriend came, that was when I agreed to the fact that indeed my mom, she was a witch. Fast forward, my brother, I was then taken to my in-laws, but before I had been taken to my in-laws, my mother, she had actually given me some charms to bath with, and after she had given me these charms, she said that they were going to protect me against my own in-law. And between my mother and my in-law, there is something like, there is a big tension that I do not even understand. So these charms that my mom prepared for me, she said, just put some water in a bucket and start bathing, but do not bath with soap. My mother later on, she then came and mixed the charms, these charms, the way that they were smelling, they were like cow dung. She made me to bath, and after bathing, she said I was not supposed to dry myself. These herbs, they were supposed to like sink deep into my skin. When I was taken to my in-laws, I then saw that my mom-in-law, it was like she hated me with all of her heart. But anyways, from the day that I started staying at my in-laws' house, it was like she was just looking for trouble. At that time, I was already pregnant, and it seemed as if she wanted to eat the child that was growing in my womb. Late at night, my brother, when I heard someone calling out my name, well, I thought that this person that was calling out my name was my mom. So when I woke up, my brother, when I looked, I saw that my mother-in-law, she had actually inserted an image. This image that she inserted into my brain, it was like I was back home. So I thought indeed that this was my mother. But when I went outside, to my surprise, this was not my mother. The thing that I saw on that day, indeed, I can say that witchcraft is real. I then saw that there was a whirlwind. This whirlwind, it was rising up from my home where my mom was. I saw that there was fire that was burning all around that whirlwind, and my mother's face was appearing in that whirlwind, which meant that my mother was the whirlwind, and she had came to fight with my mother-in-law who was trying to bewitch me. My mother-in-law then ran away. The next morning, my brother, my mother-in-law could not even look at me directly into my eyes. That was when I started to believe that the reason as to why my mother and my mom-in-law and that was when I started to believe that the reason as to why my mother and my mother-in-law, they hated each other, it was because for a very long time they have been trying to bewitch each other, but they are both too powerful. In real life, they do not even like each other. They hated each other so much. Well, I stayed, my brother, with my mom-in-law and the rest of my in-laws. But before, my auntie, the one who had taken me as per our custom, when I went with her, like the next morning, what we were supposed to do was that, as per our custom, we were supposed to sweep the whole compound. So my auntie, she woke up really early, because when you are a daughter-in-law, you have to wake up before anyone would have woken up. So this is what my auntie had done. She woke up so early and she came to my room where I was sleeping, and she said, wake up, wake up. But my brother, after she had woken me up, as we were walking around looking for an African sweeping broom, that was when we found out that the whole compound, it was extra clean, and my mother-in-law, she had already finished sweeping the compound. Like, she had woken really early, and I am talking about when my auntie woke me up, it was before the sun had even risen up. My auntie, when she saw my mother-in-law, she was shocked. She was really shocked, because she said that when she walked out of the kitchen, she tried to go around the compound trying to find a broom so that we can use that broom, and she kept on saying that I didn't even see anything. I didn't see anyone or hear anyone. If it was like your mother-in-law was already busy sweeping, I should have seen her, but I didn't see her at all. And my brother, when we saw this thing, my mother-in-law, she never spoke with us, and that was like the end of the story. Well, it then happened that my husband then found work. He was now working in the city. When my husband was working in the city as a security guard, I then said it is far much better that I go and rejoin with my husband, because I do not want some city girls to steal my husband from me. I then went and I started staying with my husband. But from the moment that I started staying with my husband in the city, I then noticed that amongst some of the tenants that were staying at the place where my husband had been staying alone for a very long time, I saw that one of the single woman, she hated me a lot. And as a woman, I felt it in my gut that this woman must have been sleeping with my husband. If not, why is she hating on me like this? Well, my brother, there was even a time when me and this woman, we fought so hard. And the reason as to why we had fought so hard, it was because I had woken up so early in the morning. After I had woken up early in the morning, I then took my clothes and I washed them. And when I saw that I wanted my clothes to be kept, after I had finished washing, I then left my clothes in the sink, because I wanted the Stay Soft to like get into the clothes just a little bit. So there was this other day when I woke up really early. After I had woken up really early, after washing my clothes, what I did was that I then left my clothes in that sink that we used for doing our laundry, I had poured some fabric softener in there. So I wanted them to stay in that water with the fabric softener so that they can smell really nice. Well, my brother, later on, when I got out of the house after doing my chores, I then found out that the lady, she had taken all of those clothes that I had washed. She then placed them in this other old bucket. It was a bucket that we used when we were cleaning, like picking up leaves and stuff like that. That is where she had placed all of my clean clothes. When I saw this, my brother, I was really hurt, and I started fighting with her, and we fought so much on that day. When I returned back to the village, I then informed my mother about this thing that had happened. And when I told my mom that this is what had happened, she said that she wanted to bewitch this lady. Well, I ended up bringing my mother back from the village. When we returned back to the city, one night, my brother, that was when I found out that my mother had actually had one of her under. When I brought my mother back to the city, my mother then told me that she had gone into that woman's house at night, and how she had done it, I do not even remember. She went into my enemy's room, and she then took one of her underwear, and she said that she was going to bewitch her. This lady, my brother, my mother, she bewitched this lady. As we are speaking right now, I feel so sorry for this lady, because I am still staying in that same street. After my mom had bewitched her, I then said to my husband, let us get out of this place, because I didn't want people to suspect me. We then found another accommodation, but in that same street. This lady, by the day, she is getting thinner and thinner each and every day. It is because she is losing a lot of blood, because she has been on her periods ever since that day when my mother bewitched her. Recently, I spoke with my mom. I then said, Mom, I feel so sorry for this woman. Can't you try to reverse this curse that you placed upon her? What my mom told me, it really terrified me. My mom then said that she had already given, like, that lady's underwear, the one that she used to bewitch her, to hair topologists, and they are using that underwear as if it is a toy, just like what kids do when you give them a toy. She said, if I try to take that toy from them, then they are going to say, Mom, we want another toy. Well, if you want tonight, I can send these small boys of mine to you, then they will give you that lady's underwear, but you have to give them something in return. It's either you give them your underwear or you give them your own child, so that they can play with your child as a toy, because I cannot take this thing away from them without giving them anything in return. So this is where we are right now, and I am scared of my mom, because my mom, she is that kind of a woman. When she tells you that we are going to die, definitely you are going to die. So I am even scared of my mom. Please give me advice. Oh, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our listeners. Strange things do happen.